Travis, we're excited to have this conversation today. Like when I first met you at the gym a year ago, this will be a little bit different than then because I was out of breath and looking for loose change on the floor after those workouts.
Yeah.
But this is a much more comfortable setting.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So tell us who you are and a little bit about WillowTree.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for having me. Absolutely. You guys, by the way, have such a beautiful organization. Your logos, your professionalism has been really impressive. And I think,
Thanks, man.
I mean, just from the moment we met, from the moment I got the chance to talk to you guys at your office, it's unbelievable. So I hope you guys continue to prosper the way you are, the way I see you guys are doing. So my name's Travis Franks, the co-founder of WillowTree Custom Homes. We've been in business a little over 11 and a half years now. We started in 2013. We have been always Southlake based. So started off business model focused strictly on remodels because that's really what we thought we knew the most. Even though both of us, I have a business partner named Jody Ellenball, who at the time before we jumped ship to from our previous jobs was a active structural engineer. He continues to hold that license today, but he had his good paying, simple, structural engineering, very consistent job. I was in a kind of a sales role in a construction rep agency, and I was bored with what I was doing to a point where I felt like I could do the business a little better than what I'm seeing that's being done. Not that I was trying to recreate the wheel, but just the fact that I was calling on some builders and some different, influencers in the area that I felt like I was like, I could probably do that just a tad bit different, bit maybe better. And anyways, I'm just kind of jumping right into where we came from. But we, Jody and I grew up together. We've known each other since fourth grade. We weren't ever best friends. We weren't ever, the guys that just had to be attached to each other at the hip. We were just buddies, and we did play sports together. And it just kind of was. I can get in a little bit later where WillowTree the name came from, but I bugged him all the way through college. He was my smart friend, the engineer, detailed guy. Yeah, A&M grad, first guy to graduate college out of our group of friends. First one to make money. I think he was making $45,000 out of the college, and we're like, oh my God, you're so rich, And so I bugged him from the moment he got out of college to, hey, let's come work. We're going to start a business, just jokingly, nothing serious. And anyways, and over the years, I got on the phone with him one day, and I called him from his office, and I started screaming. I go, you got to quit your job. Let's work. Let's do it together, man. We could do it together. And he goes, okay. I go, what? He said, I'm interested. I go, no way. So to a detailed person's, they have to research for too long. So they, for about a year, he mowed over the numbers that I gave him, which I don't know why he took those. And he's like, man, it sounds good. We could do it based on your performance and your numbers you're showing me what you can do. I mean, I think this is going to be profitable. I was like, yeah. And then he said, let's do it. So we both quit our jobs and we started with $7,500, and that's all we had to start. And we landed one job right away, and it was a kitchen remodel. We're like, oh my God, we're killing it. and that job was over, we realized we probably made $500, if that.
Yeah.
And then nothing else was in the pipeline. I don't think we thought forward enough to go, hey, let's keep things moving in the pipeline. So, anyways, it was a little bit of a struggle, but learning lessons and a lot of life lessons, a lot of lessons learned, I guess, in sense.
Sure.
And so we kept going, forward, tracking hard. But we'd pick up a little job here, another few jobs here, and then there was a time and a moment where it really got to where kind of a scary moment for new business owners. I mean, I have a lot of drive in general. And Jody's extremely smart. So we knew we could figure something out, but it got to a point about probably that first 8 to 10 months into it that, I remember the day, I remember what I was wearing, I remember where I was driving, and he looked at me and he said, he's like, man, we got $1,000 in our checking account right now, our business account. He's like, I think I'm just going to go back to engineering, because he's just not a risk taker, right?
Yeah.
He just does not stick through. I mean, he just, if it's skeptical or hard when it comes to financials, he's like, look, I got a great degree, I can make great money.
Yeah.
My old company was sad that I left, I could go back immediately. And I was like, I was just begging, hey man, dude, something's going to happen. We're going to do something. And I would say time's a little fuzzy, but within the next 30, 60 days, we landed a contract for a 40,000 square foot house.
Man, that's incredible.
And you know, when you hear that, it doesn't. I mean, even now, I didn't look back going, I don't know how we accomplished this. And there's a story behind why we got that, or how we got that. But at the end of the day, we looked at each other and said, this is our opportunity. So we set up shop on the job site with a commercial job trailer. Me and him, that was our office. We were there every day, all day long, every day, never left. And we did remodels out of that shop, out of that little job trailer, and we focused on this house. And we did it. We did it a little over 2 years of construction, and you know it's still standing, and it's actually been it's been very publicized, very famous on YouTube if you looked it up, and it's sold once already. It's on the market again, which is, you know, for us is great.
Yeah.
It's on the market, I believe, for $27 million.
Wow.
So that's just something that you put in your hat that not many people say they could do, especially their first one as a company.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, that put us on a map. That put us on a map in this town. This town was starting to come out of the recession, or the financial crisis, and we were kind of in that perfect timing. We got very fortunate with that timing, and as we were getting name recognition by just by default because of our sign on a house of that stature,
right?
People were just making up these things about us, like these guys are some, you know, custom big high end guys out of California. They're out of New York. They're out of Highland Park. I mean, nobody. They just didn't know, but we just let it run. Yeah. Perception basically grew our company.
Yeah,
and we just let that run for a little bit, and you know, so we got a lot of good remodels, and then we got into finally got into buying a couple lots ourselves and started building homes on our own, doing some spec homes, and then that momentum kind of carried over to, picking up just clients, and by just being around and having a name brand. So we've been very fortunate. We got into development in 2019. So we are a little unique as a builder for that reason. So we were able to expand, not only doing our custom home building business, we started doing residential developments, and we found that was a nice way to kind of help control our destiny because of having the inventory. Mm-hmm. Having inventory for a builder is lifeline. Right. And so we kind of found that niche that we had the intelligence, the wherewithal, and understanding of what developments were. We had some great mentorships with some people, and guys that are local that have done, really kind of helped build South Lake in general. And so we've been fortunate with our connections and people that are willing to share. And kind of hence why I want to do the same thing to, in my future. I hope someone one day walks up to me and asks me how. Yeah. That's to me the ultimate goal of giving back. But we got into development. We started doing that, and we obviously building houses that got bigger and better. And then the recognition started really coming in, and which was great. And then, and then it started forming up our processes and our procedures. And I think that's kind of where we separate ourselves. We focus on things that I think matter to the end consumer. And when you build on referrals, not money, it has a different outcome.
Right.
And that's kind of what we've been, growing our business on, is I think our process, our procedures, our dynamics, our team that we have in our office, the camaraderie we have, it all plays a role. And we're not one better than another. We're all we act like a team, a sports team. Yeah. And it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. How did you, as you were experiencing all that growth, how did you figure out a way to scale and do that while maintaining, that standard that you were putting in place and that quality of your product?
Great question. By failing, really. The scaling part is an answer I don't know I've ever got a clear answer to from any mentor, really, because everybody scales in a different way. And you have so many, to me, variables on the outside that control your scaling. Economy, what's going on unfortunately, politics, city dynamics.
Sure.
They all change a role of how you scale and what you need to scale for. So for us, we're recognizing that I would rather have coverage to a client, meaning that the client has more availability with their project manager and have access to us one-on-one, then I would trying to thin out my my guys and myself just to kind of hoard opportunity for profit. Mm-hmm. So does it short-term goal of that is not great, but it does allow us, when we have a little bit heavier of a staff, we get plenty of coverage, we get client satisfaction because we can respond, we can answer questions, and we can react quicker. We're not overloading our guys, so mental capacity is greater on a daily basis. They're not overloaded, they're not worn out, they're not regretting they're coming to work every day. And, you know, as a whole, we all have a little extra time for, you know, as we help each other out as a team, that if there's a downtime from one side or another, we all kind of help each other. So, from our scalabilities, what we found that we would take a little heavier hit in having maybe a little heavy overhead in the beginning, knowing that we got things in a pipeline just to prepare for that pipeline and cover and have coverage for our clients.
Yeah, and
I think that helped out a bunch for us. You know, Jody and I have always given back to the company. We're not ones to grab a paycheck and buy, you know, Ferraris or Lamborghinis and go travel around the world. You know, we focus on the people around us, and we focus on giving back because if they're happy, they're really the face of our company. They're the ones interacting with our clients. So right. Yeah, they see us, they see me, they have us in the beginning and they have us in the middle and the end, but they day to day is usually with the project manager. So, you know, it all just starts for the root, and the root is our office. Mm-hmm. And the root, if you're satisfied, happy, and you felt like you're being respected, that's how I scaled, I guess, in that format. Is really a human nature of scaling of watching people's personalities and how people would expect when they're buying and spending the money they're spending with us.
Yeah. Is there like a pivotal moment or challenge that you feel like when it came up really helped kind of define how you chose to be a leader for WillowTree?
It kind of goes back to the day of starting WillowTree. I was kind of moving high up in the company I was at before, and promised some things that, you know, that corporate world probably can promise you at times. And it works out for some, where I was going to be the next, you know, leader, principal, owner, you know, really the guy to take charge. And it got towards where before I end up jumping ship is that the rules changed, and it wasn't so clear cut of me making that opportunity. It was now like more diversified and more equalized. And it was just it was to me a little bit a slap in the face of like all the hard work I did. Now it's not going to be, rewarded in the way I thought it was going to be rewarded. And again, that's just what the company decided to do. And that's just where they went. So when I left, one of the conversations from my old bosses, which I'm still really good friends with today, was, you know, if you stay here, you can make, you know, X amount extra in your 401k. And I'm like, and I looked at that number and I said, man, that's like in 25 years. I go, I want to make that next year. You know, that's the different mindset. Like right. He's playing on me, as in my head, at least this is my psychological side of things. Like he's looking at me going, hey, you know, I'm going to see what carrot I can put out in front of you to see what you take, because he read me wrong. He read the room wrong. Mm-hmm. He knew I'm a very ambitious guy. That was not going to be satisfactory for me. Yeah. So when I jumped ship, that was my drive. That was I'm going to be better. I'm going to make the goal financially for my family. I'm going to make a goal where I can grow a business. I've always wanted to grow a business, and I've always wanted to have a team around me, because there's lots of things I'm not good at. So I think in strength and numbers, and obviously hiring your weaknesses is a very smart thing to do. And so that was my drive, was like, you know what, I'm going to do something and prove something to myself and to the people around me that I can be a leader and I can do this. So I did. That was the first. I think the second part is the being scared, is like the working scared part. Mm-hmm. And that's always been a driver for me. Sometimes it's maybe not the right way to do it, but when you work scared at times, you're motivated. And when I say scared, I mean there's different levels of being scared. In the beginning, it's financially scared. You know, you're scared. You know, how are you going to make ends meet? What are you going to do if something doesn't go through? And then, you get over a little bit of a hump, and maybe it's not the financial side, but then it's now, how are you going to maintain your reputation, and how are you going to maintain streamline a business? How are you going to have things in a pipeline consistently? And then maybe you get over that hump a little bit, and now you got employees, and now you got, well, I'm scared in the sense that, how am I going to provide? I'm just not providing for me and Jody's family. I'm providing for, other people's family who are having kids, having Christmases, saving for college. I mean, it just becomes a thing that it's as scared. It's not like I'm terrified. I work scared in a sense that it gives me motivation to be better, that there's no excuse, that I've been blessed in the growth we've had. And I'm not going to take that for granted. So working scared to me means I'm going to work harder, because now I'm responsible for more, and I accept that challenge.
Yeah, that's a really, really great mindset. Mm-hmm. Is there something that you feel like you anticipated early on, or even recently, that you were like, hey, like, I see this coming and we're going to be ready for it?
Yeah. Actually, it happened last year, believe it or not. So because we can develop and we can build, we were very strategic about taking and saving where we wanted to be financially stable to hold our employees as is for 1 year, no matter what. If we didn't win a job, if we didn't have a dollar bill come in, that we were able to pay our employees as is for 1 year. And our mindset is, if we don't win a dollar bill for, don't earn a dollar bill or don't win a job for 1 year, there's other issues happening, right? So, not to the extreme of that, but we had we have a kind of a bucket that we always have, that we just don't, that's just off limits, and that bucket helps in situations of what happened in 24 for us. And I think it happened to a lot of custom home guys out here, is that we didn't realize the market was starting to change. We keep hearing great things, and economy is what it is, but we had pipeline that was crazy. But then what was happening is, we were finishing up the jobs we had, but nothing was starting. All these new pipeline clients we had were pushing. So, in our example, we had about 10 jobs not start in 24. Well, 10 jobs is, that's usually more than maybe most people do in a year.
Right.
And so the fact that they didn't start, meaning that would have been a sense that we didn't really truly do anything. Luckily we had some jobs going, and we were consistent, but that was a loss for us that year. Lots weren't selling. We had a few specs not selling, so we were getting absorbed and eaten up by interest rates. So it's not always, glory and beautiful roses everywhere we go, because you hit this level of name brand or success, and that we don't think we've gotten that, but there is times, no matter who it is, there will be rough times. This is how you handle them.
Right.
And we were able to almost shield our employees from that. Now they might have been bored a little bit a few times during the week. They were maybe had some self-assessment times where they can figure out what they can improve, what we can improve. And this is really where our new processes have kind of got born too, because we were able to say what has been working, what hasn't. And so last year is when we developed a whole new organization chart. And I think it came because of that kind of stressful time of not knowing, and when are we going to come out of this, and after November, and we sold our specs, and really this year starting off has been really phenomenal. So but that was our mentality, is that we always want to have a support backing, and like a safety net for our company, that if something happens, we're protected. We at least say we tried to keep everybody we could during those times.
Yeah, that's kind of like a blessing that happened, because then you got to work like in the business and on it, and kind of develop those processes, which is now like set you up for even more success. That's exactly what it is. It is. It's like you feel like you're taking a step backwards, because you're not generating revenue, and you're not growing necessarily in a revenue standpoint. But now we create. It's like I don't know how a good metaphor for it, but it's like we traded in our minivan for a big Suburban, and now we have more room for people. Now we can grow, because we looked it up and said, hey, we do have a great pipeline. We've set ourselves in a good position to have opportunities to continue to work and grow, and we're going to need to scale with more people. So how do we do that? And now's the time to do it, when we're not
scrambling, and
Right.
we can do it with some actual thought into it, and with some input with our employees.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened, because if you guys want to get into the org chart, I can do that. But the main thing is just I look at my employees as like, I don't want it to ever feel like there's a ceiling for them. I don't want them to start and work, because most of my guys have been with me for a long, long time, and I don't have turnover, and not, it's great because we are a family, but I don't want them to think, well, this is my job, this is all, I'm going to be a project manager all my life, nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Until Travis, as the owner, leaves, nowhere to go.
Yeah.
That's not us. I'm going to always have, and this is what we did when we redid our organization, is that we're giving the opportunity for people to do what they want to do as much as they want to do. If they want to be in that same position, great. But if they want to aspire to be more in a different role, a different level of responsibility, then it's there.
Yeah.
I thought that was neat when you and I talked offline at our office, when you talked about the organization chart and how like you built it out and there were like empty positions.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so genius, because it shows like where your company's going and the spots that you want to fill long term. And then also, like you said, it incentivizes your employees of like, this is where you can go and how you can move up within the company.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that was a little, playing dumb luck a little bit, just because of I felt like the responsibility and the experience of some of my guys required a certain position and a certain title, and then the guys that are still in training, in a sense, or don't have the responsibility of the years or the that the other guys have. They need to be they're at a level where they know that there's another level to grow. So as the way we did it was the fact that you have kind of we call them DOCs, which is director of construction. These guys that's the best of the best. These guys are like the generals. I mean, these guys have been doing it. They have experience. They have the reputations. They know everything about the process and the job that they're doing for our clients. They can communicate with the clients. They're responsible for the clients. But for them to do that effectively, it's also nice to go back to have coverage on a job site. So why not bring in younger guys that want to get in this business? And then we call them superintendents. And those superintendents are younger guys, typically, or it could be anybody, but they currently are a couple younger guys. And their job is to be a support role for the DOCs. Mm-hmm. And DOCs don't just use them as a trash cleanup or whatever, but they are a guy that can, now the DOC technically could be in two places at once. Mm-hmm. And when there's when there's progress going on a home, like framing started, when we have 10 framers at a job site, well, the superintendent could be there hanging out, learning, watching, talking, and having that availability to support the framers while the DOC is doing more detailed work, more supervision on things. But now that you're getting a superintendent learning, understanding the process, talking to the trades, getting a relationship with the trades, meeting inspectors when needed, and then reporting back to the DOC. And DOC obviously would be the guy to help train him almost. And so that role, you do that for, as long as you need 6 months, a year and a half, whatever. And then all of a sudden we move them up to a project management position. And now you're on your own, but you still report to a DOC that guys that you have responsibility, but you don't have the ultimate responsibility. You still need a few more years under your belt to be the guy. And I just felt like now I can get it's almost like the baseball, when you in the lower league and you move up.
Oh yeah, the AAA.
Yeah, AAA to Double A to whatever it is. It's almost like pulling from that. The farm league.
Yeah.
These guys, they want to be in this business, but sometimes you can't just throw them out day one in a $5 million home.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the detriment of sometimes people do, and we don't want to do that. So we want to do it where it's more a learning curve, but gives them a box to move up to, another position to financially move up to. So every position up gives them more financial freedom, gives them better bonus structures, all the things. Mm-hmm. And then after that, part of our work chart, we got in, we're very big on having more staff insides, because again, the way everything technology is based right now, we use a program that most know of now. It's called WillowTree. We were using a co-construct that got bought out by WillowTree. I mean, we've been using it for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And when we first got it, we didn't know what it was either. We just used it for pictures. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, this does more than pictures, so we kind of grew into it, and now it's our lifeline, but we use it because it is our platform. So now if everything's technology based and we have bodies in the field, the biggest slowdown too is basic stuff of construction, change orders. A project manager, DOC, whoever, a typical building process would be, you want to change something? We'll stop the project. We'll go get a quote for it. I'll go research the product, or I got to go, procure whatever it is. And then I do that person on the job site is doing all that by himself. Or what I do, my guy calls it in the office, and I have a full-time estimator. I have a full-time accountant. I have a full-time vice president of operations, that we all have a role, and we control that. We upload it for their client approval, and we can almost, depending on the scope of it, in 30 minutes have it uploaded for a client approval, signature on the portal, and we don't stop, pull off anybody, and we're rolling or keep going.
Yeah.
So those things, those little details, little nuances, kind of behind the curtain things are what makes us, kind of fun and different, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they talk about, we have a process, our process, but just hearing you talk in these few brief moments, like you have gone to great lengths to define what that actually means, what it means to be successful. And your team knows what that expectation is too.
Yeah.
That's
they have a, and what's great is that, again, it's nice to, I'm a little biased because I see it and I'm with it every day. So, my outsiders might look at it as maybe there's some slugginess going on in there, but it really, to us, I got a guy right now that's been building for 25 plus years. I mean, he's unbelievable, super talented. He's really even a trim guy at trade. I mean, he could frame anything. He just knows everything about everything. One day as he gets a little older, he came to me and he's like, I might not want to be in the field as much as I am today. Well, so we have multiple different empty boxes as we grow as a company. We don't need it today because we're not that big and we don't want to sustain that. But as we grow and scale as ourselves, his next role would be from DOC to vice president of construction. And then maybe, then he loves that, or, somebody else loves that. And then there's a president opportunity. So it allows Jody, my partner, and I to kind of get out of the way a little bit. Obviously, we don't want to go anywhere. We want to continue to support, but it gives, there's no ceiling for anybody in our business.
Yeah.
And it gives them to take this company and do what they want to do with it as high as they want to go. And that to me can go forever.
Yeah.
And Jody and I have kids. I have a son in college. He has a young son that's about, I believe he's 10. And, one day they might want to come work for us, but, that doesn't mean, Daddy, son Franks gets to jump into vice president because he's owner's son. He will follow the pattern, and I think that's respectful. I think the guys know that, so he'll be able to learn properly and train properly and be in there and be what the brand should require. And when you hear the name WillowTree, we hope that our main goal, it is a brand that is equal to consistent, knowledgeable, transparency, and quality.
Yeah.
Just kind of all that bundled up in one.
Yeah. What are you most excited about in the next couple of years?
We've strategically placed ourselves in some really good positions, and we've expanded and down in South Fredericksburg, Texas. And I think for us, the growth of development and new construction and the way we do new construction is what's most exciting. And there's some things that, I'm going to do in the next 60, 90 days. I think that's going to turn some people's heads. And that's what's exciting for me.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. And I can't necessarily go into everything right now, but
sure.
It's like we're trying to be an innovator in some sense, but not lose focus of what the goal is. We're building a dream home for somebody, the biggest investment for somebody, but how internally can we make it bigger or better and a more durable, better quality, cost efficient, still be sensitive to people's budgets, but yet innovative. There's so much to do.
That. Yeah, that's exciting.
Especially for you, what you guys do. That it gives that opportunity from the shape of the homes and how we build the homes to do things where y'all can even be more creative inside the home. And so there's some really cool stuff coming down the line. And I think that's what I'm excited about, because the developments we have working, gives us the inventory. And then now that we control some inventory, it gives me flexibility to do some of the new innovative ways of construction that will that I think will be more standardized in the industry, but I want to be first.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like you said, going back, I mean, you've already demonstrated, that you're anticipating things and planning ahead, and having those processes in place allows you to, be on top of that, be ahead of the curve, be proactive instead of reactive.
That's exactly that. We say that all the time.
Yeah.
There's two words we say, that is, we be proactive, not reactive, and we never use the word assumption. Ever. And that word assumption is not allowed in our office. So if there's an assumption made, then you're wrong already.
Love it. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of exciting things coming up. So for folks that want to tune in and find out what those things are, or just find out more about WillowTree, where should they go?
Okay, well, this is going to be new for me to say all this stuff because we're growing into that market too. WillowTreeTX.com is our website. Instagram is WillowTree Custom Homes, and TikTok is WillowTree Custom Home. The new TikTok. So don't judge us on our followers yet.
You're not going to be dancing yet?
No, we're not dancing. Not yet. No. Now, if you follow my daughter's TikTok, you might see me on a few of those TikTok dances. I like doing that. But
that's funny.
We just opened up our TikTok account, so that, and then really any social media account. We have the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube channels coming, and LinkedIn. So those are our formats. But yeah, WillowTreeTX.com, and our office is in Southlake, so we're easy to find as well. So.
Awesome. Travis, this was a lot of fun. I think there's a lot more that we need to get into, but I think it'll be fun to have you come back on and do this again.
I would love to.
I really enjoyed this conversation.
Well, I want you guys to talk too sometimes. So I appreciate you guys asking the questions about me, but you guys are the reason, honestly, first I'm here because of you guys, but the spreading the knowledge around like you guys are doing is something special, and I think we need more of it. So anything I can do to help would be awesome.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Yes.